Hello everyone, we are here to complete one of the tasks for week 3, Grades Site Administration video tutorial. What are we going to do here? We are going to create a video tutorial exploring Grades Site Administration and everything under it. Then we will upload the video to Vimeo or YouTube, and we are going to reply to at least one other post. So let's get started. We are here in Blended Online Learning under Site Administration in the Grades tab, and here we see Grades and Report Settings. Let's have a look at General Settings. As we can see, it has lots and lots of things here that we are not going to change because this is Nelly's site. But let's have a look at some of the entries here. The graded roles, there are lots of roles here. The default is student because we're going to grade students' work. And this setting allows you to control who appears on the gradebook. We want the students to be on the gradebook. The user profile report is set to user report. The grade report used on user profile page. That probably means that the user will have access to the gradebook. Aggregation position. This setting determines whether the category and course total columns are displayed first or last in the gradebook reports. It sounds logical that it's displayed last, the last column. Include scales in aggregation. The default here is yes. And here it says that you can change whether scales are to be included as numbers in all aggregated grades across all gradebooks in all courses. There's this caution. Changing this setting will force all aggregated grades to be recalculated. So the default is there. Show submitted date for hidden grades. The default is no. If user cannot see hidden grades, show date of submission instead of a hyphen. I'm not sure about this. Enable publishing. The default is no. And here it explains that grade publishing is the way of importing and exporting grades via a URL without being logged into Moodle. If enabled, administrators and users with the permission to publish grades are provided with grade export publishing settings in each course gradebook. I wonder if this might be connected to publishing the grades in a report card, for example, at a school. So if it's enabled, we can export the gradebook and then perhaps attach it to a report card for parents. I don't know. Include feedback in export. The default is no. The grade export display type is real. Here we have different ways for grades: letter, letter percentage, letter real, percentage, etc. And here it explains that grades can be shown as real grades, as percentages, or as letters during export. Grades export decimal places. The default is 2. The number of decimal places to displayed for export. If we want to export, the grade export user profile fields are the following. The grade export custom profile fields, it's empty. Include these custom profile fields in the grade export separated by commas. Recovery grades default, it's set to no. By default, recover all grades when re-enrollment a user in a course. Primary grade export method. We can have an open document spreadsheet, plain text, Excel spreadsheet, XML file. The default is none. Choose which gradebook export formats are your primary methods for exporting grades. So I guess that this is by default, it's set to none because here, let's see, where was it? Here is set to no. Enable publishing, or perhaps it's connected to yes, perhaps it's connected to that. Then, well, default grade export method, open document spreadsheet, choose which gradebook export format is your default method if we wanted to export grades. Unlimited grades, the default is no, and by default grades are limited by the maximum and minimum values of the grade item. Enabling this setting removes these limits and allows grades of over 100 to be entered. This could be a big problem because if we have from 0 to 100 and we enable unlimited grades, we can mess up every grade. Show minimum grade, the default is yes, and the grade point maximum is 100, and the grade point default is 100 too. The grade point maximum is a value available in an activity. The grade point default is 100, is in a grade item. Minimum and maximum grades used in calculation. Here the default is minimum and maximum grades as specified in grade item setting. Here the grade point maximum and minimum. Use menu grades link. Overview report. This setting allows for the option of linking to an external gradebook from the user menu. Here we have overview report or external URL. If we choose external URL, we will specify it here. Okay. We see that most of the choices are set by default. And according to the Moodle docs, they recommend to use the default settings. Then if we go to grade category settings, here we see hide forced settings. The default is yes. So this will not show forced settings in grading UI. I don't know what this means. The aggregation highest grade, we have different choices here. According to this, the default would be natural, and natural means the sum of all grade values scaled by weight. But here the default is highest grade. Well, not the default, the choice is highest grade. Nelly chose this, and these are the available aggregation types. So there are different ways, different types for aggregation, and we can choose multiple items. Interesting. Maybe depending on the activity. Exclude empty grades. Here it says yes. And this is important because an empty grade is a grade which is missing from the gradebook. It may be from an assignment submission which has not yet been graded, or from a quiz which has not yet been attempted. So this setting determines whether empty grades are not included in the aggregation or are counted as minimal grades. For example, 0 for an assignment graded between 0 and 100. But that will affect the final grade of the student. So it's good to exclude empty grades. Include outcomes in aggregation. Outcomes, I check that are goals or competencies. And here it says no. By default, no is the choice. If enabled, outcomes are included in the aggregation, and this may result in an unexpected category total. So it's recommended to choose no by default. Keep the highest. Yes, it's forced. That means that teachers at course level cannot change this. If set, this option will only keep the X highest grades. The drop the lowest, none. This setting enables a specified number of the lowest grades to be excluded from the aggregation, and allow category grades to be manually overridden. Yes, if we disable this setting makes it impossible for users to override category grades. Yeah, it's important to have that possibility to override category grades. Good. So lots of things here. Now, if we go back, we have the grade item settings, and the grade display is real. Remember, we have these other choices, letter, percentage, and real. And the overall decimal places, 2 by default. This setting determines the number of decimal places to display for each grade. So the grade item settings is very simple, just two things. The kind of display type, if it's letters, percentages, or real, and the overall decimal places. Good. And then we have scales, which is, I guess it's connected to rubrics, competence scales. Here you have standard scales, separate and connected ways of knowing, mostly separate knowing, separate and connected, mostly connected knowing. This is not used. The default competence scale, not yet competent versus competent, yes. And this is not used, not yet successful, successful. Okay, now if we click on this, let's see what it shows. This is the default competence scale. A standard scale is available site-wide for all courses. It's ticked. Not yet competent and versus competent, a binary rating scale that provides no further information beyond whether someone has demonstrated proficiency or not. So it's auto format. So this is a very basic scale. But I wonder if we add a new scale, what it might show. Well, we have to write the description and the scale. I might experiment with this, but not here because this is the site administration. And then we have letters. Letters. This is interesting because the default grade letters are like this. The highest 100 and the lowest 93 gets an A+. I would change this to, let's say, 96. We can edit at site level, but teachers can also change this if that is in the settings. Okay, and here we can change values. We can add more fields, and that's interesting. Here, grade letters are letters A, B, C, or words, for example, distinction, merit, pass, used to represent a range of grades. That's good. Yeah, like for kids we would say good, very good indeed, excellent, or something like that. Okay, so let's get back. And then we have report settings. And here we see the grader report show only active enrollments. The default is yes. So we can only see active enrolled users in the gradebook report. With grading, the default is yes. A text input box appears for each grade, allowing many grades to be edited at the same time. Changes are saved and highlighted when the update button is clicked. And when a grade is edited in the grader report, an overridden flag is set, meaning that the grade can no longer be changed from within the related activity. Grades selected for column averages. The default is non-empty grades, and this setting determines whether cells with no grade should be included when calculating the average mean for each category. So no empty grades are included for averages. Show column averages. The default is yes, and it will contain an additional row displaying the average mean for each category. Show ranges. The default is no. Show user profile images. The default is yes, next to the name in the gradebook. Show number of grades in averages. The default is no. Column averages display type inherit for these three: column averages, range display, and decimals. Here, column averages determines whether the average mean is displayed as real grades, percentages, or letters, or whether the display type for the category or grade item is used. I don't understand what this is. Decimal in column averages, everything is inherit, so the idea is display type of the category or grade item is used. I don't understand. Then, well, the grade history entries per page 50, overview report, show rank. The default is no, because we don't want to show the position of the student in relation to the rest of the class. Hide totals if they contain hidden items. The default is hide, and the setting specifies whether totals which contain hidden grade items are shown to students or replaced with a hyphen. And then the user report, show rank no, show percentage yes, show grades yes, show feedback yes, show ranges yes, show weighting yes, show average no. Here it says whether to show an average column. Note that participants may be able to estimate others' grades if the average is calculated compared to others. Show letter grades no, because here it was percentages or real grades. Range decimal place is 0 for the range. Show hidden items. It says only hidden until. Set a hidden complete until a set date after which the whole item is shown. Hide totals if they contain hidden items, hide. And show contribution to course total, yes. So this indicates how much each grade item contributes to the user's course total percentage. Sounds natural and understanding. To have how much the student has contributed to the course total. Okay, so here there's a lot to do and to study. So we have seen the grade report, the grade history. Let me see if I went through all this. The grade report, the grade history, yes, and the overview and user report. Well, I guess that's it. I guess that there will be a lot more to learn in reports. These are report settings for grades, and probably here other kinds of reports. Okay, see you. Bye.